Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I am coming to you from Orlando. Oh my God. I have decided to come out to see my incredible client, the one and only, who got his man back. Oh my God. So I decided to come out and do a little surprise visit. And this is the first time we've actually met in person. And then we thought, why don't we do a video for you all, for everybody that is looking to get their specific person back, looking to be with their specific person for the first time, looking to have a long lasting loving relationship. And we thought, why not do a little recording, a little interview while we are spending so much time together. So I'm keeping my client's name anonymous. And that's why you won't be able to see him, but you will be able to hear him. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the man that got his man back.
Yes.
Yeah. So, oh my God, this is the first time I've done this as well. So this is really weird, and it is so good to see you. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. I know, finally, after all that time, honestly. So actually, what was it like when you first saw me?
Okay, so Natalie, she's short.
I'm short. I'm short.
I don't know, but I thought I was expecting for you to be taller. That's just what I thought, but you know.
Tall and confident.
Right, but it was amazing to see you. The hug was very warm. I really appreciated it.
Oh, it was honestly, it's like you are the first client that I've had in the US that I've been able to kind of do this with, and it just feels incredible. Yeah, it's so much fun, and we've just spent so much time talking, guys, honestly, and we're like, right, why don't we just record it? Why don't we just record it? So, like I said, he got his man back. And if you haven't listened to the story, the YouTube video of how my client got his man back, then I'll tag it here for you. So you can have a listen to that before you then listen to the full recording of this video, because it will make more sense then as well. So how long have you been back together?
We've been back together since May, the end of May. So
okay.
Like about almost 2 months now.
Okay, so we're actually recording this on the 19th of July, 2023. So yeah, so almost 2 months.
Yes.
How are things going?
Things is great. Things are good. Again, you know, we're living together, you know, so we're definitely living together, and we are pretty much relearning each other, because, you know, I'm now a new version of myself, and he actually has made mentions of that as well, that, you know, he definitely sees a change in me. And the same thing with him, I see a massive change in him as well. So again, everybody's just pushed out. So obviously he's just reflecting, you know, what I believe about myself now.
And also what you believe about him, how you want him to show up too, which is like the two-part kind of thing. It's you becoming the version of you that you want to be, which is falling in love with yourself. So you're no longer taken for granted. And that wasn't just, obviously, that wasn't about him. That was about like a pattern that you had. And also then it's telling the story of how you want him to show up too, and remaining faithful to that. So how has that been going? How has that been going, remaining faithful to that incredible story, the incredible journey that you're on with him?
Well, now we're all human, and so definitely the old story sometimes does creep back in. But one thing that I make sure that I do is, the minute that I get those negative thoughts, I try to make sure that I catch them before they become feelings.
Yeah.
And so the minute that I have those thoughts, I just, you know, just change it up and says, you know, we're back together. He loves me. We're, you know, here he is we're living together. He's cooking for me downstairs, or whatever it is. Like
you're pulling in the evidence.
Right. Just go ahead and reaffirm, like, okay, this is what's happening now.
Yeah. He's with me now. We're doing this now. Exactly. He wouldn't be with me if he's with me, because he loves me. He adores me. Exactly.
And, you know, but again, like I said, we are human, so we're still learning each other. So we've had, you know, little, you know, bumping heads a little bit. Of course, you know, I will say that it is, you know, the honeymoon phase but we've already been through that already. You know what I'm saying? So this is someone that I know.
Yeah.
He knows me. And again, that's the reason why I felt natural just to have him move in quick. You know, I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to, you know, date him again. Like, I knew him and I know this is what I wanted. And the fact that he came back in the way that he did, I'm accepting it. And so literally it's been great. You know, we've been spending a lot of time together. We've been spending time with my family. My mom absolutely adores him.
Yes. Yay, Mom.
And I like the fact that they're, you know, they've always had their own relationship, but I feel like now, you know, after he took my mom out to eat, you know, he took my mom out to eat just to let her know, how he showed up in the past.
Yeah.
Is not how we want to show up now. And he understands the reason why we went through what we went through.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he wanted to make sure to give that information to my mom, because again, my mom's seen how hurt I was when I was going through what I was going through. So the fact that he was able, that he cared enough to make sure that my mom understood where he was and how he wanted to show up for me now, was a big thing that I felt like I didn't need it, but it was an add-on. And I really love that he did that. Yeah,
and it's going to keep your mum safe, knowing that you are loved. He's showing up the way that she would always want her son to be shown up for, which is in a loving, kind way. So I was just going to say, so what things have you noticed that have improved? Obviously, I know you're showing up differently now because you're showing up respecting yourself, loving yourself, valuing yourself because of the self-love work that you do consistently on yourself. He's showing up more consistent in the way that you are wanting him to be and how you're seeing him, which is what you're putting your energy into. But what would you say the massive differences are that you're getting now as opposed to kind of before?
I would say two things. The first thing I would say, I just love the growth on how we communicate. The way we communicate now is definitely not the way we communicated before.
Yeah.
Before, you know, I would say something and then he'll shut me out, and he would say something, I would shut him out, and then we're literally going back and forth and arguing. But now it's better. You know, now that we've grown, I feel like it's more so of a conflict resolution type of conversation where, okay, he's feeling this way, you know, I need to identify like the reason why he's feeling that way and what am I doing that's making sense, and vice versa. And so coming into that point of making sure that we understand each other, that's something that we really didn't have in the beginning. But another thing I like that is really coming from him. Like, he's like really putting that effort on trying to better communicate with me. That's number one. Number two is how romantic, you know, he is. Like, he's always been romantic, but now it's just like the text messaging, like out of the blue, you know, like today, I just got one today that really just kind of like, okay, he's mine, you know, and he's proud of me and he loves me. That's a reassurance that I never had before. Yeah. And now I'm constantly getting that reassurance. Again, not that I need it, but the fact that he's just doing it, you know, I'm not asking him to do it. It's something that he's just giving it to me on his own. That just makes me feel really
It's
good.
Like he's saying, I want you to know that I'm here.
Right.
And I'm here for the long time.
Exactly.
The long term. Mm-hmm. This isn't a short-term thing for me. And I want you to know how much I love you and respect you and value it and just how proud I am to be with you.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can kind of like, I mean, you're smiling like a Cheshire cat. I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat. He's smiling like a Cheshire cat, you know, and it's that, isn't it? It's that just knowing that certainty and having the tools to work things out. And, you know, we were talking earlier about, you know, when or if there are times when you feel like, oh, I want to. Right. And you're like, no, it's coming back. It's like pulling back. Right. I can't talk about this now. I need to focus on what's happening within me, but we will come back and talk about this. And, you know, it doesn't have to be done physically, that could just be an energetic kind of conversation you're having with yourself. And then it's, what is it in me that I'm still holding on to that's making me feel this way? Maybe it's something still from your inner child. Maybe it's just a learn of, this was how you used to think, but this is no longer you.
Exactly.
This, maybe it's a learn of like, oh my God, I'm growing so much because I would have reacted this way. Now look how I'm reacting. I'm taking responsibility for how I'm feeling.
Exactly.
So yeah, which I think is absolutely incredible. And I think one of the things that we spoke about as well, very openly, well, I forced it, as I do. I forced it, the conversation, because part one is getting them back, but part two is being able to keep that relationship and keep that relationship going. And one thing that I remember being very clear on is, what you put your energy to, you will attract.
That's right.
So that's why it's being very mindful of, those old thoughts, those old beliefs that are coming back based on your past relationship. Right. So it's making sure that that past relationship is the past. Right. It is not now, because that was based on my old self. Exactly. And this is my true self. Therefore, I can have the most incredible, amazing relationship with whoever it is I want. And I choose him, he chooses me. And this is how he's showing up. And this is how I'm going to consistently remain faithful to him showing up. And when obstacles happen, when challenges come up, when conflicts arise, because as you say, this is reality.
Right.
When conflicts arise, is how am I going to manage that? Am I going to manage it like I did when I was version 1.0? Or am I going to manage it how I am, which I feel like is like the 3.0, because it's like you've jumped that
3.0.
level. 3.0. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like the best thing to that I do is just focus on what it is that I want.
Yeah.
And focus on the version of him that of course I could focus on, okay, we're having an argument, and focus on the arguing. Yeah. And get upset about the arguing, or get upset about, we're having a little tit for tat, or we're having a disagreement about something. And back then I would literally make that such it could be something very minuscule, but I'm literally making it big. Yeah. And now I realized I'm not carrying it on for, a day or two, or 3 days or a week. Because back then we would definitely get into arguments and, fighting. Yeah. And then it would drag on for maybe a week until we actually can reconcile or be okay. Yeah. But now, like I said, the conflict resolution immediately, if he feels some type of way about something, if I feel some type of way about something, and mind you, it could be about anything. So we just come to a point where we communicate. And I just love the way that we communicate. And then right after that, we're back to playing video games. We're back to, cooking for each other. We're back to having a good time with each other, playing with our dog. So it's definitely 100% different than it was before. And I really like that.
I love that. I love that. I remember when we used to have our sessions, and I would go into imaginal acts with you, and I would say, imagine, you're waking up together. Imagine that you're hearing him in the kitchen saying, honey, I'm making smoothies. What's your favorite flavor of the day, and bringing it to you, and just getting into the feeling state, and then having the conversations that we were having earlier. It's like talking as though it's like,
we were literally just
you've got him.
Right.
It's all happened.
Exactly.
You manifested it.
And one thing
he's with you.
I do remember talking to you about when we had our session was, one thing I love to do is play with his beard.
Yes.
And so he gets annoyed. He's like, oh my gosh, why are you in my face? But I always do it all the time. I'm just laying there and I'm just playing in his beard. He's like, oh my gosh, really? That's his favorite word, by the way, is really. Really? And so every single time I'm playing with his beard, he's like, really? And it just goes back to the conversation that we had, even prior to him even coming back. I told you, that's what I want. Yeah, and you've got it. And now that it's literally happening.
So what would you say to somebody that is maybe in the process of manifesting a specific person back? Mm-hmm. Or is in the process of having them back, and now it's now I need to get to that place of keeping them.
Right.
What would you say? What advice would you give to that person? And this doesn't matter whether it's a gay relationship, straight relationship, or any relationship. So
the first part a person who wants to get their relationship back, I would say prioritize their feelings. One thing about it is like when it comes down to manifesting, we all can get boggled up about other people's feelings or not honoring yourself. And I feel like the major takeaway about all of this is that I changed myself for me. I feel, and again, my boyfriend does literally tell me like he feels like I'm a whole different person.
Yeah.
And so the reason is because I'm no longer a people pleaser. I'm no longer a chaser. I'm no longer having to like do certain things outside of myself just to please somebody else. And so loving myself, knowing that I don't have to be that person, is everything, is gold.
The free will, the choice.
Right. And so know your worth. And I feel like this whole journey is knowing who you are as a person and loving yourself. And literally by you just simply doing that honestly, you will attract other things like that you want in your life. And of course, you can, manifest for specific things, but literally when you feel good about yourself, you're able to attract more to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you started on that self-love journey, when it came to that session where I said, look, you know what? You can't ignore it anymore.
Right.
It has to be the thing that you do, that you focus on you primarily.
Right.
When I obviously advised you, guided you to putting all your energy into you primarily and only a tiny bit into him, what was the first thought that you had when you knew that was kind of what I was kind of asking from you? What was the first thought that you had?
The first
about not focusing on him so much.
The first thought that I had was, okay, is this gonna work? If I, that of course we want what we want. So as a human, like, okay, by me shutting down, manifesting for him and just focusing on myself, is that gonna bring me back? Yeah. And so that was definitely the initial thought. But then after, like I said, when I started to do, I bought that package. Yeah, the self-love, SelfConcept workshop. Yes. And so when I was doing the inner child work, when I was doing all that, that's when I was like, okay, I am a good person. Like literally, doing all that work, especially the inner child one, like that was my favorite. And so me communicating with my little child, because I felt abandoned, I felt alone at some points and whatever. So me providing that love to my inner child, which overall is me loving myself. Exactly. That's when I started to look like I am a good person. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be respected. I deserve somebody to treat me the same way, of the same type of love that I'm capable of giving to someone. I deserve that in return. Yeah. And so at that point, it was just like certain things, certain behaviors, I just knew they didn't serve me. And again, I have, a small group of friends who, always, speak life into me, speak, positivity into me. And so that will always help me as well to maintain that state of mind. Like, I am a good person. I am loved. I am chosen. I do deserve someone to love on me and, and support me and be there for me the same way I'm going to be there for them. And would you say that this has transformed other relationships in your reality too? From falling in love with yourself, have you noticed other changes of things that you will or won't accept any longer? Yes, I've lost a couple of best friends over the past several years. But earlier this year, I stopped talking to one of my closest friends again. And this is a situation that's been an ongoing, me and my best friend, we've always gone through ups and downs. But it was not until like I no longer knew that the person that he was going to be like, the version that I was becoming was never going to be able to accept who he was as an individual. So, I broke off our friendship. And I just told, I wish him the best, but I just knew the way that he was showing up is not the way I wanted to be treated anymore. So and sending him love for his highest good, wishing him the best is a lovely thing to do, because you're not doing it maliciously. You're actually doing it
for me.
For you, because you are no longer that person that can accept less than what you deserve. And that's something that when you fall in love with yourself fundamentally, is that you can't accept less. You can't, and you don't want to, and you just can't accept less. And maybe sometimes it takes a little bit of, maybe sometimes it takes a bit more of a, oh, that didn't feel very good. Well, let me just simmer in that feeling or simmer with that and just see how it goes. And then all of a sudden something will happen and you go, actually, I'm just going to take the inspired action to take a step away. But it's taking a step back, then it's making that decision, wishing them well. And it's like sending love. We're all love, so we're all connected. But it's like, this is who I am now. If you do decide to come back into my life, you can only come back into my life this way. And if you don't, I will always wish you well, and I will always send you love for your highest good. And that also known as the art of detaching, not needing and not holding on to what is less than what you deserve and desire.
Yeah, and I will say, like, a lot of my other friends who knows this individual, they'll say like, oh, well, why don't you let him go? Like, and they've been saying this for years, but because I love him so much. I feel like he is a good person. He is a good person, but it's when it comes down to me respecting myself, I can no longer accept how he's showing up in my life. And so he had to.
And that's the thing, and it really is, whenever they do pop into your mind, it's doing that, I forgive you, I love you, I let it go, I send you love for your highest good, because you don't ever want to hold on to any negativity or any any animosity or any baggage, because you'll just end up hurting yourself. It's like self-abuse, and forgiveness really is a huge part of letting go of what no longer serves you and doing it in a loving, kind way.
Forgiveness for me is definitely a given. So, like, I will forgive everybody, anybody. I know one thing about me, I never like to hold anything in my heart for anybody. A person could do me wrong or whatever. I don't need to be in your space, but I'm not gonna, hold a grudge or anything towards you, because that ultimately affects me.
Exactly. And then you're basically handing your power over, saying what you think about me matters more than what I think about me. And, I was listening to an Aaron video a couple of weeks ago about the Ho'oponopono prayer. And the Ho'oponopono prayer is about taking responsibility for your thoughts, because everybody that does come into your reality is a part of your script. And it's taking responsibility for that. And the easiest way to do that is actually kind of asking for that forgiveness for people showing up in the way that we don't want them to show up, but they're showing up in a way based on what our program is. That's how people can show it. That is the everyone as you pushed out. So Ho'oponopono is a really, really powerful prayer to do, to take ownership of how people are showing up and asking for that forgiveness, thanking it, loving it or them, and letting it go.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because I've done research on that specific prayer.
It's lovely.
I think it's from Hawaii.
Yes, it is.
And so that's something that I did for all of my friends that I had and I also did that, for my relationship as well. So I literally, made sure that, I apologized. I actually, I forgive them, and I said that I love them, and just let it go and do that.
And there's something I was going to say about the Ho'oponopono, and it just slipped my memory. Again, I wanted to say something along the lines of not holding on to, don't hold on to what other people have done. Don't hold on to what other people have done. See it as them being way showers to you, fundamentally then learning to fall in love with yourself. But also, this is what I wanted to say as well, is that it doesn't mean just because you're forgiving these people, just because you're letting, you're doing the forgiveness prayer, whether it's through my self-love workshop or whether it's the Ho'oponopono or your own style of doing forgiveness, it doesn't mean that you have to have these people back in your life just because you're forgiving them. Just because you're sending them love for their highest good, it doesn't mean that you have to have them back in your life. Nobody said that. So if when you're listening to this, please know that that's your choice. If they come back and you want them back, great. If they come back and you don't want them back, great. If they don't come back, great, because you still energetically are letting go and not holding on to anything, and taking responsibility for how you're showing up in the world too.
But the major takeaway that I want everybody to get out of this video is that, trust me, like, I'm just like you guys, like I'm not a manifestation guru. I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm not, I'm just like everyone else. I promise you, I've had my own, wobbles. I've had, I'm human, so I had a lot of negative thoughts. I had, setbacks. I've had a lot of things happen. And me being me, I'm an overthinker. I'm an overanalyzer. So my mind is constantly going.
Yeah.
But the only thing is that I was aware of my thoughts and that I literally consciously shift them to where I need them to be.
Yeah.
And I think that is like the biggest takeaway is like, loving yourself and like controlling what you think about. You know what I'm saying?
And I think one of the themes that I get a lot with clients, not all of them, but a lot with my clients, is that they'll say, but it's really hard to, like, my negative thoughts keep coming in. It's really, really hard to stop them and to kind of focus on the positive thought. So obviously you had that experience too, which is where the wobbles came in. So what would you say would be your go-to? I mean, everybody has to find their own natural way of doing it, but what would you say your go-to would be for when a negative thought came in? What would you say your go-to would be to bring it back to a positive thought?
Literally just shift it. Whatever it is whatever the negative thought is, I will just do the complete opposite. So if I'm like, okay, well, he's probably with somebody else. Well, how could he be with somebody else? Like, I'm the best thing that, literally whatever it could be, like, because, again, there was a third party involved. And even at the, now that I know, the third party was over for a while. Yeah. So he was single for a while before he even came back. Yeah. But in my mind, I didn't know that. So in my mind, I'm still thinking about, this third party. And then I would always affirm, like, I'm better than that person.
So you'd flip the story saying,
flip the script.
I'm better than that person. Of course he wants me and only me. Exactly. Of course I'm the best.
Exactly. And I would like sit in that for a while.
Until the old feeling would dissipate. Yeah.
And after a while, literally that whole third party thing became obsolete. Yeah. I didn't think about it as much. Then I started thinking about, the arguments that we had, and every single time those spiral. I would literally, would catch myself having an argument with inside of my head, how could you do that? Like, how could you come to my house and say, yeah, I want to move in with you, I want to be with you, and then goes away. Yeah, it goes. Cricket. And I'm like, and I'm having a conversation like, how dare you? Like, I'm a good person, I'm this. And then the minute that I notice that I'm having an argument with him, I would just go ahead and switch up the conversation of hearing him telling me that I love you so much. You're the only thing that I want in my life. You're an amazing person. I love you.
So during an argument, sorry to interrupt you there, but during an argument, you literally can go, oh my God, you get the awareness of, oh my God, what am I thinking? What am I saying? No. This is what I want to hear. Right. So going in, doing those inner guided conversations, it's like, or inner conversation, sorry. It's like, this is what I want to hear. I can't stop thinking about you. You're everything I've ever wanted. You're the love of my life. Exactly. There is nobody else. It's just you. You're who I want to be with.
And I'm sitting here like having to, like, I literally like, why am I having this argument in my head? Like, why am I doing this? Yeah. And so I would literally, like I said, catch myself.
Welcome to the ego.
Just go ahead and flip it around. And, but I just want everybody to know, I want to strongly reiterate that it's normal. Yeah. It's okay to have those moments, but it's just, you got to just jump right back out of it and just continue on persisting on what it is that you want. Because I'm letting you guys know, because I overthink. Even when I started this whole, journey, I always thought about like, okay, am I going to be able to even do this because of how much of an overthinker that I am? Yeah. How much of a negative thinker, like, I always thought negative things. But now, after all this journey, not only am I thinking positive about my relationship, but I'm thinking about positivity in other areas of my life.
Because you've trained your mind now,
Yes.
because you had to go through the kind of that hump, really, didn't
Yes.
you? Because it is that, it's like you start to put in these positive affirmations, telling these positive stories, and your mind's going to go, no, I don't think so. And it wants to bring you back. And remember the whole NevilleGoddard, it's like you're this state or this state. You can't be in two states at the same time.
Right.
You're either that one without or that one with. And if you want to be that one with, you have to kind of go through that. And I described it to a client the other day, like a tug of war. It's like this one will pull you back, and it will pull you back more the less you do this. So that's why you'll hear the likes of me or Shelley, saying, kind of saturate yourself in it, but doing it in a non-obsessive way. It's just like, I intend, or I am, or get into the imaginal act of being with them. Allow yourself, and whilst it might be hard to start with, it's the practice. You didn't give up on the practice. Exactly. So therefore, even with the wobbles didn't matter, because you were still moving forwards with your belief that he is yours.
Right. And the more you practice,
he is with you.
Right. The more you practice, the more natural it's going to feel to do it. Because in the beginning, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Or, okay, I'm over here talking to myself, or, but once you start the practice and you're consistent with the practice, it literally becomes second nature, because now I know my affirmations within I'm literally reciting it in the shower, or even still to this day, my alarm clock wakes me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but then I have another alarm at 6:30. So within that time frame of 6 to 6:30, I'm in that mode of like affirming about my day, my gratitude practice. I'm thankful for, God has allowed me to see another day. I have all my functionalities, my ears, my eyes, my hands, my mouth. Yeah. I'm able to actually wake up. So, and also just being grateful for what I have. I now have my relationship. I have my second home. I do have money in the bank. I have food in my refrigerator. I have thankful for my grandmother, like my grandma's health, or thankful for my mom, my little brothers. So I'm always, showing constant gratitude in the same affirming for myself and what I'm.
I love that so much. So I think let's wrap this up. Self-love, obviously, if we don't do a self-love practice, and when we're manifesting somebody back, we're going to go back and we're going to create the same, basically, situation, and it will potentially be even more painful than the one before, because fundamentally nothing has changed, and that is the definition of insanity. It's repeating the same act and expecting a different outcome. You have to be the different act. You have to do the difference. You have to show up differently, emotionally different. So if you're in a place currently where you're wanting your SP back and you're here in a lack because you just need to be with them, where that screams that you need to fill up your own cup and you need to fall in love with yourself. And then when you're here and you're in this abundant mindset, confident, magnetic, self-love, adoring, all of those beautiful things, they will come that way. You can manifest that way, and they will see you differently. And that is exactly what my clients, nearly said his name, my clients are now doing. They're showing up differently. They're showing up in the way that they should have always been showing up before their program mindset was established. So, oh my God, thank you so much. And we're going to go out for dinner later, which I'm super excited. And I'm going to get to meet him too. So I'm really excited about that. So guys, thank you so much for watching this. We really want to inspire anybody that is currently wanting to be with a specific person, or maybe they've got this person back, or maybe they're feeling really obsessively needy for that person because they need to fall in love with themselves. Whatever reason you're watching this, thank you for watching this, and know that anything is possible. Anything is possible. So please make sure that you comment below. We are so excited to get all these comments, and I want to see what you all have to say about this. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for all of your incredible support on my channel. It really means the absolute world to me. So it leaves me to say, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will be back very, very soon.